Now, India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman unveiled the government's budget for the fiscal year 2024-25, highlighting some pretty significant changes in taxes and also some pretty ambitious economic initiatives. And under this new tax regime, the Income Tax Act will also undergo a review that is aimed at reducing disputes, while long-term capital gains tax has been raised to about 12.5%. The short-term capital gains for listed assets now stand at about 20%, and the standard deduction under income tax has also been increased to Rs 75,000. Now, on the economic front, an urban housing outlay of Rs 10 lakh crore has been announced, alongside the provision of free electricity of up to 300 units per month for 1 crore families. Now, initiatives for employment and opportunities include raising the Mudra loan limit to nearly about 20 lakh crore for MSMEs, introducing credit guarantee schemes, launching a youth internship program in top companies, and also offering financial support for higher education loans of up to 10 lakh rupees. Now, infrastructure and development received a boost, with Rs 2.66 lakh crore being allocated for rural development, and about 26,000 crore being earmarked for road projects in the state of Bihar. Notably, customs duty on gold and silver was reduced to 6%, while developmental projects for cultural and religious sites have been prioritized. So as India navigates through the Narendra Modi 3.0 government, the budget has signaled a mix of costlier tax implications and some affordable schemes that are aimed at stimulating economic growth and social development. Now, the increase in the LTCG, that is long-term capital gains, and standard deduction could impact investors and taxpayers differently, while initiatives like housing and electricity subsidies aim to alleviate household burdens. The question, of course, remains, will these measures now indicate a continuation of policies driving economic resilience and inclusivity under the current administration? All right, so this of course is the budget, the highlights of the budget that are being presented by Nirmala Sitharaman, the Finance Minister of India, and a lot of hope was of course riding on the budget, and she has in many ways, a lot of people would say, put forth initiatives that will constructively impact the nation going forward. But it is a long-term project because a lot still needs to be done, and there are many sectors which have said that they are looking more and they're expecting more from the government in terms of its policy and the initiatives that it tends to come up with.
Elevated asset prices, political uncertainties, and shipping disruptions continue to pose.
So there is a big push forward for jobs. There is also a reward for people who adopt the new regime. Standard deduction for those under the new regime has in fact gone up from 50,000 to 75,000. And these are some of the key highlights where the Nirmala Sitharaman government has, of course, made things easier. And a lot of people, of course, who are looking for how this will impact them personally, the tax paying in middle class. Under the new tax regime that's been announced by Nirmala Sitharaman, they can end up saving as much as about 17,500 rupees in terms of the money that they can save with in terms of the taxation.
Steps are being taken to ensure supplies of perishable goods reach markets adequately. Interim budget. As mentioned in the interim budget, we need to focus on 4 major castes, namely the Garib, Mahilaye, Yuva, and Anadalities.
All right, now to give us more perspective and also to help make sense of the budget that's been presented by Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman today, we're being joined by Mr. Amitabh Kant, who is the G20 Sherpa and also the former chief of Niti Aayog. He's joining us live from New Delhi. So thank you very much indeed for joining us in this broadcast. And let me in fact start off by asking you, what do you think of the announcements that have been made in this budget? Do these announcements by Nirmala Sitharaman address some of the key challenges that the people of India at this moment face?
Well, it's a very progressive and a very pragmatic budget. It's a growth-oriented budget with a huge focus on employment. There's a major stress on job creation. And I think the budget is very forward-looking because it looks at urban development, it looks at industrial growth centers, it looks at industrial parks, it looks at research and innovation in a very big way, and it looks at tourism which is a huge multiplier impact in terms of creating jobs. And I think, to my mind, the great thing is that it focuses very strongly on the MSME sector. So essentially, it's a job creating budget, but with huge emphasis on growth. So it is a budget which looks at the next 3 to 4 decades of growth.
Right.
And it has immense amount of financial discipline because it maintains the fiscal deficit at about 4.9%, says that it will bring it down to 4.5% next year, and will have a glide path thereafter. So a great amount of macroeconomic stability as well.
Now, one of the interesting things that has been pointed out is that angel investor tax has been struck off. How much do you think that will have an impact in promoting the startup culture in India?
So the angel tax was a very, very worrisome issue for the startups because there was a challenge on ease of doing business. And our startup movement has grown enormously from just about 2,000 startups to over about 120,000 startups. And by removing the angel tax, the government has addressed the right balance in terms of saying that we would like the startup movement to grow and prosper. We would like greater predictability and consistency. We would not like the tax authorities to breathe down their neck. You please grow and prosper. And if there are any challenges as far as the laundering issue is concerned, that will be looked in by other provisions such as the PMLA Act, etc. But to my mind, it's a bold move and a very good move forward.
Interesting. And also, Mr. Kant, something that a lot of people, especially the millennials and the Gen Z, has been looking at very closely are the changes that have been brought about in long-term capital gains tax and also the short-term capital gains tax, essentially about investments that are made in stock markets and mutual funds. But the taxation rate there has gone up. Now, in the past, in the era of the boomers, people believed in putting their savings in fixed deposit. But now times have changed. A lot of people are investing in mutual funds. Do you think that is going to be impacted with the announcements that are being made today?
See, one must understand that what the government has done is that it's brought all asset classes at the same level of 12.5%. Basically, two things have been done. That is, the long-term gain tax has been kept at 12.5%. In the real estate sector, there was no indexation, but the tax was at 20%. Without indexation, now there will be no indexation, but the tax rate has been brought down to 12.5%. And in a day or two, the citizens will realize that this will bring in predictability, this will bring in consistency, this will bring in stability for everybody. So I think it's the right balance which has been struck amongst all asset class.
Interesting. And also just to dwell a bit about, the assessment that was made in the economic survey, it said that India needs to create at least about 78.5 lakh jobs every single year till at least the year 2030. With the announcements that have been made in the budget today, do you think Nirmala Sitharaman has been able to address this very crucial issue of creating more jobs? Because one of the biggest challenges that we've witnessed in terms of the growth story, not just in India, indeed across the world for a variety of different reasons, is the problem of jobless growth. Do you think we're on the right track to address the issue of growth is there, but there were no jobs that are being created? So can the government bring in some initiatives to create jobs? Has that been addressed?
So if there's one area where this budget is greatly focused on, it's employment creation. And it focuses it on several ways. It focuses on, giving relief to a person who gets a job for the first time. It gives relief to workers in the manufacturing sector, both to the employer and employee. And it gives relief to those who are getting employed by giving a benefit to the employer of up to 3,000 rupees for the next 2 years. But more important than that is that jobs are created in certain sectors of the economy. And therefore, the government has focused very rightly on travel and tourism in a very big way. It has focused enormously on the MSME sector and created a credit guarantee fund for them so that they can avail credit guarantee for loans taken for machines and working capital. Both these will help create good quality jobs.
No, but where do you think,
most important is the focus on urbanization.
Right.
Urbanization will be a very big driver of good quality jobs.
Right, but what are the sectors do you think the government will have to focus on? Where are these jobs going to come from? 78 lakh jobs a year is not going to be an easy target to meet.
Yeah, so to my mind, tourism can be a very big driver of growth. MSME can be a very big driver of growth. The space economy will be a very big driver of growth. The startup movement will be a very big driver of growth. The textile sector, the food processing sector, all these sectors, a lot of emphasis has been laid, and all these sectors will be major drivers of growth.
And also my final question, this is what the middle class, the salaried class looks at. There's a new taxation regime that's of course been put forth. The tax slabs have changed. How much of an impact do you think the middle class is going to get? How much of a benefit do you think they're going to get? And do you think they'll be satisfied with this?
So two aspects to that. One is that the tax regime is greatly simplified. Most people have shifted to the new tax regime, which is simple and easy. Almost 75-76% have shifted to that. Second is that the tax slabs have been made easy and simple. That will benefit the middle class to an extent of about 17,500 rupees. So that's a good benefit.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Amitabh Kant, for joining us and getting us that perspective.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So that was Amitabh Kant there giving us his perspective on the budget that's being presented. But remember, as they say, the devil, of course, lies in the detail. An interesting set of initiatives have been announced, but it remains to be seen as to how they all play out. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.